Is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Watch the greenbacks tumble.
Yes, I'm here. And we are live.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed. Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USAPrepares.com. We're broadcasting live, doing a simulcast today with Sam Bushman, Kurt Crosby. We are live at the Get Prepared Expo. We're setting up. The instructors are flying in. They are arriving. The exhibitors are setting up. You're going to hear some noise in the background. You're going to hear forklifts. You're going to hear some cranes. You're going to hear some horns. You're going to hear all kinds of noise in the background. And welcome, Sam Bushman.
Did we say we're live? That's why you hear all that stuff in the background. We are literally on the show floor for GetPreparedExpo.com. And I want to say this. The reason you might hear a little bit of strange pauses and twists and turns and things like that, and thanks for your patience on that, Ben, who's taking care of the broadcasting capabilities in the Liberty News radio studios. The reason you might have all that is because we're trying to sync up two radio shows, and the commercials are placed slightly different. The clocks are slightly different. And so we're just trying to adjust the best we can. But without further ado, Sam Bushman and Kurt Crosby live. This is Liberty Roundtable and USAPrepares.com simulcasting the broadcast today live from Get Prepared Expo, the floor. We are here. We are live. It's a big, huge venue in Lebanon, Missouri. And it's the Cowan Center here, the Cowan Civic Center. And we are live. And I just want to say this is the second hour for Liberty Roundtable. This is the year of our Lord, July 19th, 2013. And I've even got Kurt Crosby with me live.
Buenos dias. Greetings and salutations. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Thank you, Sam. And it's good to be with Sir Vince here in the Ozark Hills, as they call them.
It's the mountains.
Oh, sorry. The mountains of the Ozark. Anyway, yeah, it's nice to be here.
It's great to have you guys on the broadcast with us on GCN also. And Sam, Kurt, let's talk about the Get Prepared Expo. Let's talk about what we are going to learn. Dr. Richard Allen Miller has been at the farm for several days now. He flew in from Grants Pass, Oregon. He's going to be talking about mind control, how to think like a Navy SEAL. I think that's fascinating. Do you guys have a chance?
Now, I want to make a comment
at the farm, though, Vince, when you say at the farm, you mean it basically at your place?
Yeah.
At his house.
And how big of a farm do you have? I mean, what's your farm like?
The farm is...
I mean, sorry, we haven't been there, so I can't really tell you.
You will be. You will be.
Yeah.
The farm
we were
is...
supposed to go there last night with the airplane. Just blame it on the airlines that we didn't get there, Kurt.
The farm is... it has a mile of road frontage.
Okay.
So it's a mile long. And at the narrowest, it's a quarter of a mile deep. And at the widest, it's a half a mile deep. And in terms of acres, that would be 241 acres.
That's a pretty good farm.
So
what do you process on there? I mean, do you have cattle? Do you have...
we raise black Angus cows.
Okay.
And half of it's wooded, half of it's opened.
Uh-huh.
There's a stream that runs through it, about 40 feet wide at the widest, and
That's a good stream.
It starts with a spring. It starts
Very
with
good.
a spring, and it ends with about 40 feet. It's about 3/4 of a mile long through our property. And on that farm, there are ponds, several ponds, and they're called stock ponds.
Yeah.
Where you
when I grew up, the reason I ask, I know that some people will say this is kind of taking us away from a real expo and things, but I grew up on ranches down in Arizona, and I've worked for a lot of years as a nutrition consultant in dairies mostly, but so it interests me about the farm. Anyway, I appreciate
Let me tell you why it's not derailing at all from the discussion of the Get Prepared Expo, because they actually have a seminar where they teach you how to buy a farm, what to look for. Buying a farm is not like, hey, just look for the curb appeal and look for the pretty blinds in the window, and if the woman likes it, you're in. It's a little more complicated than that, and it takes expertise, it takes know-how, it takes understanding what to look for about the water, about the capability of the property, the soil. Anyway, the list goes on and on, but Vince, you've got a whole seminar on that, right?
So the phrase, he bought the farm, could be, it changed a little bit.
Without question.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, but there's a seminar on this very thing, Kurt.
There is a seminar, and it's a 1-hour seminar on how to buy your first farm. Because, as you said, Sam, if you look at a suburban property, if it's a development, there may be several houses that you can look at the comparable values of, and you can say, well, this one's about the same, except maybe the deck is a little bit bigger, or they've got a different front porch. You could add or subtract value for those changes. But farms, each one is absolutely unique. The water, the fencing, the buildings, the topography, the amount of woods, the fertility of the soil, the list goes on and on and on. So Georgia Williamson is our instructor for how to buy a farm, and she's going to teach us what to look for and what to expect. And let me say this. Can you imagine there's a property for sale in the Ozarks? It's right near my farm. 80 acres, a 50 by 80 foot steel building on it, 3 ponds, fenced, cross-fenced, $151,000.
Sounds like an incredible dream come true.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I think.
However?
There is no however. Well, okay, there is a however. Taxes. Now, what would you expect that the taxes would be on a property like that? 80 acres, fenced, cross-fenced, whatever. What do you think?
I have no way to gauge. Kurt, you want to try on this one?
It's for
$5,000 a year,
$150,000.
151,000. 80 acres, 3 ponds, fenced, cross-fenced. It's ready to work cattle. Lots of grass, trees. It's magnificent. Absolutely magnificent.
$5,000 a year?
5,000 a year. Okay.
I was hoping like 3, but anyway.
3,000.
What's the?
I'll
you're
bet it's
talking about
triple what we're
property
talking.
tax.
Less than $100 a year
For property tax.
for property tax.
Excellent.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what you do is you send all your kids to government school at $10,000 a pop, and you think you're paying your way. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No.
So
Okay, so what's wrong with the property? Isn't it?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And by the way, I selected this part of the world because we traveled, Mrs. Finelli and I traveled all over looking for a safe place away from a lot of people where taxes were really low, so that as the collapse continues, that we wouldn't have to go digging for money to pay the taxes to keep the farm, so we wouldn't lose the farm.
Yeah.
And I mean, even with all those Angus cattle, how many head of Angus cattle have you got?
100.
With those Angus cattle, you can certainly drum up $100 worth of money for taxes out of that.
Yeah, when folks
absolutely.
say, where's the beef, you can just take care of business every year. And
So, you actually, if you don't have debt, and you were to buy this $150,000 property, and let's say you only raised 20 head of cattle, and you sold let's say you sold half the herd every 2 years.
Uh-huh. Do you do any, real quick, do you do any rotational grazing? Or
Absolutely. That's what we do. We use rotational grazing. We use strip grazing. Yeah. We use intensive grazing. Yep. And we have
Cool.
different grasses.
that's what my kids do, all of those.
That's right.
We have warm weather grasses, cool season grasses. We have the right mix, I believe. And, I wasn't part of a family that knew about farming. I'm the first farmer of the Finellis, of recent times.
Finelli doesn't really strike me as much of a Western name.
No, it's not.
Like a John Wayne kind of Finelli. But
no,
anyway,
Finelli is a
new one.
It's an Italian name, and my grandparents on both sides are from Italy, and they came to this country legally around 1900.
Yeah.
They left behind Italy. They left behind the language, and if I hit my thumb with a hammer, I'm going to have to say whatever I'm going to say in English. Well, I mean, I don't know any Italian. I
So
don't
you're a
speak
Native
it.
American, is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you?
Absolutely.
Three Native Americans sitting here behind the microphone.
And none of us at broadcasting today drinks fluoride at our homes, right?
Of course not.
Okay. And none of us is overweight.
I am.
Well,
I'm too
Sam's
fat.
not overweight. He's just too short. He's
Yeah,
about
that's
6
how you say
inches
it.
too short. But it's just moving right along. Right?
I need to. It's the sedentary city lifestyle that's got me.
Yeah,
What I need to do is buy
doesn't
that
have
farm.
Much of a farm. His farm consists of what? Less than a quarter acre.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what's interesting about this farm life? If I want to take a 22 out and just plink off the veranda, I can. If I want to take a 308 out and plink off the veranda, I can. If I want to plink anywhere on the property, I can. If I want to wear a firearm anywhere on the property or anywhere in Missouri, well, within reason. I can't do it at a church without permission, or I can't do it in City Hall without, I can't do it in City Hall, period. But I can wear a firearm a lot of places, and I don't have to ask for permission, and I don't have to get any kind of an approval to blast away plinking on my farm if I want to.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other cool seminars related to this isn't exactly farming, but it does bode well for a farm.
Mm-hmm.
And you have basically guard dog, how to get the guard dog to fit your lifestyle.
Yeah,
and your choice.
well, we have a lot
That's
of seminars.
a seminar, right?
We have a lot of seminars, and not all seminars are at this particular expo. But Thomas Jefferson is our English Mastiff, and I bought him from a breeder who is one of our instructors. And Thomas Jefferson, we purchased him at about 25 pounds. And he's now 7 months old. He weighs in at 150.
That's a big dog.
Yeah.
Now it's called an English Mastiff.
English Mastiff. Hey, Richard Allen Miller's pulling up. Hey, Rick.
Ricky Rocket, welcome to the Liberty Roundtable / USA Prepares team. Sam Bushman, sir.
Right here.
Right the other
How are
direction.
you? Sorry about that. All right,
Rick-
so
Ricky going to join
is
us?
that what he's called?
Ricky Rocket, yeah. Dr. Richard Allen Miller's with us, and he is the real Fox Mulder of the X-Files. Now, Rick, the reason I say that you're the real Fox Mulder of the X-Files, you wrote the first 6 episodes of the X-Files. Rick, you don't have your headphones on. We're going into a break, so you're going to have to talk really fast. You got 10 seconds. You're the real Fox Mulder of the X-Files. When we come back, will you tell us why we say that? Okay, you can say it into the mic.
You bet.
He
Okay.
nodded. He said yes.
You didn't hear that, but he was nodding. I'm Vin Finelli, Sam Bushman, Kurt Crosby, the real Fox Mulder, Ricky Rocket, Richard Allen Miller. We'll be right back. Sam Bushman's with us. Kurt Crosby, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. We are at the Get Prepared Expo, broadcasting live from the Cowan
you gotta
Civic
back up
Center,
from the mic, too,
Lebanon,
now.
Missouri. So, Rick, why is it that we call you the real Fox Mulder of the X-Files?
I worked for Dr. Carl Schlaker. We were part of Mankind Research Unlimited, MRU, which was a front door for the Navy intelligence on paranormal phenomena. And basically, whenever the Navy, which was in charge of technology, ran into something they did not understand, then they would bring in a team. And just for the record, most of us never ever figured out what we were looking at either. So, we caught a lot of flies.
I've got some questions about that, by the way. When you say whenever you don't understand something, you call in the big team to resolve it. And my question is then, have you guys solved why government's just belligerent and out of control and how we can fix that?
Yeah,
You guys got
power.
on that?
Power. It's a drug. And when you achieve any degree of power, then you abuse it.
You got that right. All right. Now, I also wanted to ask Richard a question here because I've heard him on the radio many times in my life. And you talk about teaching people to think like a Navy SEAL. And instead of analyzing the options from an analytical point of view or saying, all right, well, this makes sense to do this, but what if they do that? And you go through all these plans. Most of that's not necessary when you learn to tap into your gut, into your inner self, and decide what's best to do. And you mentioned when you do that, there's only one thing to do. And I know that's basically the topic of one of your seminars coming up. So if you go to the Get Prepared Expo, you'll be able to learn about that in greater detail. We'll never cover it all on the radio. But Richard, I want you to help people kind of understand how they tap into that, because this is really a guide for someone's life that will change them forever, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's beyond space and time, whereas your upper brain or logic brain is there to make everything you believe true. And so if you start to think about, should I go right or left, you come up with options. And it's like when Merlin said to Arthur, anything not specifically forbidden is mandatory. If it's possible, it's probable. That means...
You need to back away from your mic too, Richard.
Okay, just a little bit, okay? No problem.
Like 8 inches.
About 8 inches? How's that one working for you?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. So basically, the upper brain is on logic, which means it automatically is going to put you into statistical inference, probability, whereas your gut, the enteric nervous system, is more primitive and is somehow directly connected through space and time.
How do I tap into that? In other words, how do I clear my mind and say I'm paying attention to one or the other?
It's an altered state of consciousness other than straight consciousness. There is a place near conscious state of awareness where your ability in guessing increases more than 400 times over statistical inference. When you are able to listen to that voice, knowing what to do, you automatically do it. And if you do that instinctively, you will survive.
Now, let me ask you, that's something that you train yourself to do. Do you start by just clearing your mind? Do you say, you know what, stop input now?
It's not that easy, and it's much simpler, both. A lot of women are already in that place of intuition where they have that sense of what they need to do and what might be happening. Good luck with that. It's you can test yourself so that you start to learn which voice you want to listen to. There's a lot of voices going on inside you.
How do you get there then? Does it take a lot of training?
It's hypnosis. You self-hypnosis where you learn how to quiet the mind, and then once you've done that, like biofeedback, you can actually hear your heartbeat. It isn't that you're hearing it, because that's a misnomer. It's that you can feel it or sense it in some way and can then change the rate of beat just with your mind's eye. In fact, that's where everything occurs, is in your mind's eye. Imagination is reality. Basically, if you are able to clear your mind and listen to your body automatically knows what to do.
I bring that up because, as you mentioned, women have a lot of this. Some call it intuition, some call it inner self, some call it being centered. There's a lot of different psychological terms for this. But I would submit to you that blind people, to a great degree, have this too. It's part of growing up. It's part of how they learn to interpret the world. Got a quick break for Vince.
Sam, hold that thought. That's really interesting because, ladies and gentlemen, Sam Bushman is blind, and we're going to talk more about that when we come back. Dr. Richard Allen Miller, Sam Bushman, Kurt Crosby. We'll be right back.
You along, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sam Bushman live, sitting right next to Vincent Finelli in the Preparedness Expo right now, live. We're at the Cowan Civic Center in Lebanon, Missouri, where you ought to be. And you got around the table right now Sam Bushman, Kurt Crosby from Liberty Roundtable. You got Vincent Finelli, USAPrepares.com, GetPreparedExpo.com. You also have Ricky Rocket is his nickname, Richard, alongside with us talking about mind control. And I just asked Richard right before the pause, we're talking about how you can learn to pay attention to your inner self. And you can use your body to give you information rather than your rational mind just trying to think through all the options and get confused in what you ought to do and everything else. Believe it or not, you can learn to, in a subconscious kind of way, tap into your inner self. Some people call it centering, and you can literally know what ought to be done, and you make the best decisions that way. You can do it in split seconds if you're really tapped in, if you use hypnosis and get into your inner mind. That I'm a totally blind person. I mentioned to Richard right before the pause, and I want to get his take on this. And that is, blind people are a lot that way by the very nature of their lives. When I grow up, I don't get to see a woman's eyes or get to see the face of somebody, or their body language, where they move away or move closer or do the different things that they do. And so I had to train my mind to pick different clues, different guidelines, different the tonality in their voice, the way they say their words, the emotion in their voice, the undertone of the feelings that their aura gives off. Those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. How does it relate, Richard?
Well, you probably know how to grope a lot better than we do.
Ouch.
Just kidding. Being blind can be, in some ways, be seen as a gift, not a disadvantage, because it forces you to focus on other inputs. And too many people are oriented around visual inputs, and I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't have believed it.
Rick, can you say that again? You wouldn't have seen it if you hadn't believed it.
Yeah.
So explain what that means.
Yeah, that's a good concept. The fact is that our beliefs determine what we're able to see and understand. For example, if you were a staunch Christian and two aliens walked in the door, the big question is, would you be able to see them? And probably not. That's why many of the Aborigines didn't see ships on the horizon, because they had no concept of that. They were blind. And so with that said, that's usually someone outside the box. That would be someone like you that isn't as limited by their vision.
The point that I'm getting at, too, is people say, Sam, can you just hear incredibly well? And the answer is, if you put me on a hearing test, I probably don't hear very well. I'm over 45, so that means I can't even hear some of the high sounds the younger kids can hear. From a literal point of view, no, I can't hear any better at all. In fact, I don't hear that great necessarily. However, because I have trained to use my ears in a functional, reality-based way that helps me in my life, I can hear incredibly well, Richard. And that's the kind of mind training that you're talking about. It's throw out all that you thought you knew, all that you deemed important, and learn to focus on something else and give it its credibility, its proper place, its reality function. And that's what you're talking about in terms of changing your mind to, one, know what to do in a given situation, but two, to be able to reject a lot of the mind control that's being pitched at us on a daily basis.
Well, yes. Now, unfortunately, mind control is no longer just visual. They're now attacking us in a lot of other arenas, including our food. That's one of the talks I'll be talking about, is the weaponization of epigenetics. Our food choices are what determine when certain keys like arthritis kicks into our body. They're actually trying to control the populace now with our foods.
It reminds me of a hamster. It's kind of like we're getting hamster food. We're learning to just bust out our adrenals. We're learning how to just run. But in that becomes the disruption channel, doesn't it?
Well, more than that, it sets up your reality. A lot of your beliefs and assumed truths are drivers that create your actual reality. The idea that imagination is reality. Imagine the internal landscape if you, for example, choose to look at something one way over a different way, and then the options of universes that allows to be created.
Do you think that it's something that you just need to be aware of? Or do you think it's something that you actually have to literally train against?
You have to do some training because it requires witnessing. That means you have to be able to step back or go to a different place in your brain and actually watch your behavior. That's one of the chapters in a new book that I've written called Power Tools for the 21st Century. These were the 8 basic protocols that I developed for Navy SEALs to make them true paranormal supermen, one of which is to be able to change a belief or assume truth like you would a pair of clothing.
Rick, what are you going to teach us in your seminars?
Well, I'm going to teach, I'm going to at least guide you through some imaging with hypnosis so that you have a sense of what that place is and how it differs from consciousness, and then maybe try to see if you can't glean different information from that state of consciousness.
I saw you at the last Get Prepared Expo in April, and Craig Douglas walked by class, and he's going to join us in probably in about 15 minutes or so. He's our radiation instructor. And you were hypnotizing me, the freeze-dry guy, Craig Douglas, and actually you were asking us to self-hypnotize ourselves. And so we were going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I saw Craig Douglas leaning over in a very deep hypnotic state before I went into that deep hypnotic state. So I think it's real, Rick.
Yeah, and actually what I was doing is acting as a guide. Remember, I asked permission to take you down there, and it was really you that allows yourself to go down there or not. That's the whole thing. You can fight yourself, too. That's what a lot of people end up doing. They're actually at war with themselves, and they have conflicts going on that they're not aware of. Self-destruct, what we call, you don't have a value that you feel you're worth anything, and so you assume that everything bad's going to happen. And guess what?
Yeah.
Often it does.
Yeah.
Where does morality fit into this? Where does God fit into this? How does that relate?
You want to go into the next level with it? Well, morality. I end one of my chapters in the book with a quote from Ducky Mallard when in NCIS when he was asked, what's the difference between a moral man and an ethical man? And his response was that an ethical man knows not to cheat on his wife. A moral man won't.
And I think that's a vital difference. And the reason that I bring it up is we just got back from the CSPOA, that's the Sheriff's Conference, about a month ago. And what we appealed to was their oath of office and their sense of duty to God, family, and their country, and to the constituents that elected them. And I think that's, when we think about oath keepers and things like that, Richard, I think a lot of your information has relevance there to say, how do we make sure that, one, we reject the indoctrination that's going on at all levels around us, the mind control, but two, how do we make sure that people don't jettison their morals in the process? I think that's happening to more and more people without their consent, isn't it?
I'm going to make a statement here that I haven't, Vincent and I've talked about it briefly, but imagine how we feel as a Navy SEAL with what they're doing to SEAL Unit Number 6. Now, that's the difference between politics and God and country. We're very loyal and try to do the right thing. It's called intentionality. And when you mix it up with politics, something else happens, and it's not right.
Are you talking about exposing who they are and those kinds of things?
Yeah, and more than that, the fact that they're having accidents. We don't have accidents. We're supposed to be heads up on that kind of thing. And imagine seeing some of my colleagues being killed for what they know. And
on a slightly different note, the Benghazi scandal, those who have survived it have been ordered to sign non-disclosures.
Yeah, it's all about politics and scrambling the clarity of what you're supposed to be doing as your duty. That's one of the reasons I've chosen to remain a nerd rather than get into politics.
I'll tell you what, gentlemen, if a politician were to arrive here at the Get Prepared Expo, he would feel, or she would feel, very, very uncomfortable. Now, I'm not talking about representatives. I'm talking about politicians. I'm talking about the people who lie, cheat, steal, accept bribes, confiscate, and are so weak that they're willing to accept bribes and pursue their own personal pleasures at the expense of their children and spouses.
And I want to mention, Vince, that they wouldn't feel uncomfortable because we would threaten them or we would do anything to make them feel uncomfortable per se. It's almost how, the people who lie, cheat, and steal don't feel comfortable around God either. It's that kind of uncomfortability, not necessarily that we would threaten them or do anything to put them in danger, right? I want to make that clear.
No, that's not the. Yeah, you're absolutely right. No, we would not threaten them physically. It's just by them being in our presence. What they do is so foreign to us that they would be alien to the majority here.
All right, so there's plenty to talk about. There's a lot of seminars. Your seminar is going to be taking place, Richard, on Sunday?
I'm going to do one on Sunday, and if there is a demand for it, I'll stay over an extra day, and we'll do another one on the critical decision-making power tools.
Rick, I see you're scheduled... I'm looking.
Well, he's looking
Sunday.
at the schedule. Is that book available now too at the seminar? People can get that book, Richard.
Yes, I brought some with me. Yes.
Beautiful.
They're just out.
10 o'clock Saturday. You start up. You're part of the team that does the first seminar. So, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, Mind Control, Thinking Like a Navy SEAL. Then You're also going to do another seminar on Sunday. And then if you have a number of people who want you to stay and do a, 4-hour?
Yeah, a mini workshop on how to defend yourself. What I'm going to do on tonight, I'll talk about the new directions on mind control. This is the presentation I made in 2 years ago with the Navy at Nexus Magazine in Australia. And then I have my new book out, which were the power tools on how to defend yourself. That'll be the primaries on that.
Now, when you talk about defending yourself, Rick, you don't mean physically. You mean mentally from...
Well, there's actually 8 levels or memes.
Okay.
You know, you have the physical, with the food choices, the types of water that you might.
But we're not talking about getting into a fight, a physical fight. No, that's what I meant by physical.
In terms of defending yourself, man doesn't have rights. He has responsibilities. If you wanted to be free, you have to go out and do it. I mean, it isn't...
Rick, hold that thought. We're going to a break. Sam Bushman, Kurt Crosby, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. I'm Vince Finelli. This is USAPrepares.com and Liberty Roundtable. We're going to be right back after these few short commercial announcements.
So here we go.
There we go. We are back. We are live at the Get Prepared Expo, Cowan Civic Center, Lebanon, Missouri. Sam Bushman, Kurt Crosby, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, and we've got 56 seminars. We originally intended to have 52. It's 56 one-hour seminars, and you can get your tickets right now if you'd like. You can get them at the door. You can go to usaprepares.com or getpreparedexpo.com. Get your tickets, and you can pay for them online. And bring your email that you get as a result of that purchase. Bring that with you, and you'll get the discounted $8 per day or $18 for the 3-day weekend. Chief Cloud Pilot is going to be with us. Larry Pratt's going to be doing a live teleseminar. Tony Pache and I are going to be talking about building community. We're going to be talking about the public school system, and we're going to have a firsthand report from the Bilderberg meeting in London. Mark Anderson of American Free Press is going to be with us. You just heard an announcement from Dr. Joel Wallach. He is in town right here. He's doing multiple seminars. Sheriff Richard Mack is going to be doing seminars with us. And Judy Dollarhite and John Dollarhite raised rabbits. And the U.S. Department of Agriculture came down on them like a ton of bricks and fined them $6 million for raising rabbits for pets. Raising rabbits for pets. Can you imagine that? They decided they weren't going to take it, and they stood down the federal government, and they won. They're going to tell their story. Judy Dollarhite's written a book, Going Down the Multi-Million-Dollar Rabbit Hole. She's going to be autographing her books right here at the Get Prepared Expo, and she's going to be teaching a seminar, Raising Rabbits and Chickens in the City. Dr. Norman Shealy is going to be with us. And he's going to be testing our blood pressure. If you'd like, he'll be giving you a food supplement to see if it reduces your blood pressure. It does in 70% of the cases. If it doesn't, he's going to offer you an additional different therapy to see if he can get your blood pressure down. Dr. Patrick Vickers he had dinner with us. Rick, remember Dr. Patrick Vickers? Was that fun?
Yeah, that was enjoyable.
Yeah, Dr. Patrick Vickers drove from Mexico, where he has a clinic. He offers the Gerson cancer treatment therapy. Do you know someone who has cancer? Gentlemen, do you know people who have cancer? Rick?
I have, Matt Stein's wife.
Matt Stein's wife has cancer right now, and if you'd like to include her in your prayers, we would appreciate that. And Bill Whaley's wife. Bill Whaley, we affectionately call him the junk man. He teaches us how to live off things that other people throw away, make solar ovens out of parabolic reflector dish antennas that people don't use anymore, those satellite dish antennas, the small ones. And he'll teach you how to take a cardboard box, some aluminum foil, make a solar oven out of it. His wife has cancer. Sam, you know of people?
I know all kinds of people that have cancer. Some are willing to listen and some just aren't.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we posted an article on the website yesterday. A woman was diagnosed with cancer, went through chemotherapy, it ruined her life, and they said, geez, you don't have cancer anymore. Holy smoke, you didn't have cancer in the first place. So they gave her chemotherapy, took her right to the edge of death, destroyed her, and now they're saying you didn't have cancer in the first place. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being diagnosed with cancer, going through. What if it was surgery, right? What if they cut it out, cut it off, whatever it might have been, and oops, bad diagnosis. You were okay to begin with.
Yeah,
Well,
and it's not a Monty Python deal. This is real.
this is absolutely real. And Dr. Patrick Vickers, Dr. Joel Wallach, Dr. Norman Shealy are here. So if you want to talk to them about, possible treatments, and Dr. Patrick Vickers told me on air he has about up to a 65% success rate in stopping the progression of cancer, reversing cancer, and restoring health without surgery, without chemo, without radiation, and he does it with organic food and coffee enemas. Now, it's not going to be pleasant, but it's certainly going to be more pleasant than going under the knife. So Dr. Patrick Vickers is going to be with us. And what about, sounds like we're going into another break. We'll tell you a little bit more about who's going to be speaking and what you can learn. Teachers free, your children free, your spouses free, right here at the Get Prepared Expo. GetPreparedExpo.com. We'll be right back.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked? Hour number 2, USAPrepares.com. Around the broadcast table, we've got Craig Douglas, radiation detection. Welcome, Craig.
Hello.
And Sam Bushman.
Happy to have you along, sir. You just put it up on the big speaker system. We're live at the Preparedness Expo. And right when you put it up on the big speaker, it was like, Vincent Finelli. And I kind of thought it reminds me of The Price is Right, man. Come on down.
And with us, dialing in from, where are you, Freeze Dry Guy, anyway? Where are you?
I'm in an undisclosed location on the western hemisphere, on western United States. How are you,
Hold on a
friend?
second. There are a whole bunch of people looking for you. Are you in the parking lot here at the Get Prepared Expo in Lebanon, Missouri?
No, sir. I'm hiding from those people who are looking for me.
Wait a minute. You're supposed to be here.
Yes, perhaps, but we have some good folks showing up in my stead. As we know, Vince, I hurt my back, and I was just a week and a half ago, and I was just afraid to try to make this. And I've also said to you when I groveled on the phone for missing the event, this is one of the saddest moments of recent history. I love this event you put on and seeing you guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, we all miss you here, Freeze Dry Guy. And by the way, when am I going to learn your real name? I mean, you come to the farm, you stay, a week at a time. We do all kinds of fun things together. But when will I actually know your real full name?
Well, we're getting closer, as I always like to say. But, if you were to think Guy, you might be pretty close.
So your name is Guy?
Close enough. And that's what
It's the kind of thing where we have to test Vince's metal first, right, sir?
Yeah.
Freeze Dry Guy, we're going to be serving Freeze Dry Guy food tonight, and I was talking to your senior vice president just a few minutes ago during the top of the hour break, and he said, "Would you like to do a taste test, a 30-year versus current production taste test?" And I said, "Wow, what a great idea! How about if we do it tonight during dinner, where we could have some volunteers?"
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
to do this test, I'm going to have to eat genetically modified food. I'm out.
No, you don't.
Oh,
okay.
No. This is 30-year-old freeze-dry Guy food.
Yes.
Compared to current production freeze-dry.
Oh, I got it.
Food.
All right, I'm in. That's an interesting test.
Yeah, and Sam, seriously, you are the perfect person to do this test because
I like to eat. Is that why?
Well, that's one reason. But we'll put it in front of you, right? You're going to have to go by the sense of smell, right?
Okay, yep.
And you're going to have to go by your taste, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we do that, you're the perfect guy.
I'm in.
Yeah. So we probably should wait, statistically, your findings versus ours. Don't you think?
I will be interested in this test, highly interested. And obviously, Freeze Dry Guy has done this test. Are we going to know a difference, sir?
Say again,
Freeze Dry Guy.
notice a difference?
Yeah.
I doubt it. And to be honest, you're the first guy we've ever tested this on, so who knows? No, that's absolutely false. We do this all the time. We tried, last year we tested with a group a pouch, of all things, which should not, in theory, hold up as well as it can, 31 years old. Absolutely superb. But we do this periodically, and nobody has died. Everybody says, wow, this is really good stuff. And I think for the most part, we put it in front of people, don't tell them which is which. They can't tell. I mean, think about that. Something has been put away for 30 years. And it's a remarkable product, as you guys know.
Well, especially something as important, though, as nutrition, something that relates to taste. That's just astounding, and it just shows the scientific advancements that's been made in food to our benefit, to our blessing, Freeze Dry Guy.
Yeah, well, Sam, these products came out of the loins of NASA. Some of during the times of the SR-71 and all this sort of stuff, the development of it, it was probably 40 years ahead of its time, and I'm dead serious about that. It's still the most high-tech food out there.
You know what's really interesting about this is, but this is what the claim is. The claim is it's long-term storage food. That's what it is, and we're going to prove it right here at the Get Prepared Expo. Scientific proof, taking 30-year-old food, doing a taste test, and we're going to see what the difference is right here. And it's going to be a taste test where those participants will not know. They will not know which is which. They'll get to try them both and report to us their findings. I think it's going to be fabulous, and we're going to video it. Freeze Dry Guy, your senior vice president is right here. He's standing with us. He just happened to hear us over the PA system at the Cowan Civic Center. So he came over, and we're going to do this with him. He's going to run the taste test.
Very good. Very good. I think.
And he also heard me say that I'm hoping for astronaut ice cream. Didn't he hear that?
Yes, you'll have a double portion, Sam, just for you.
Excellent.
Well, Freeze Dry Guy, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate you calling in. Now, you can't do this again. So next time, the next expo, we expect you to be here.
I certainly will.
There you go.
If I have to bring my own body bag, I'll be there. I would not miss it for anything. And as I said, I thought if my back was still gone out this time, I'd be an anchor to everybody. And I really appreciate my VP stepping in and running the show.
Are we going to learn his name?
Perhaps. I think you're getting close.
All right, I just want to say, though, that our prayers are for health and healing for the Freeze Dry Guy, and he's never an anchor no matter what. Even if he came, we'd take good care of him regardless. But I'm just telling you, our prayers are for health and healing, sir.
Well, thank you very much. And one final comment, if I may. Ladies out there, come to the booth. You're going to like meeting my son.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Ooh, now that's
Freeze Dry Guy, thanks.
Wait a minute. Freeze-dried food dinner plus meat. Freeze Dry Guy, son, you got to like that.
That's right.
Yeah. Freeze Dry Guy, thanks so much for being with us on the broadcast. And we appreciate all of your participation, all of your advice, counsel, and friendship here at USA Prepares. Every one of us really appreciates it, and I'm very serious. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really mean it.
And from the live expo, just saying.
Yeah. Hey, don't rub it in. I'm missing it already.
Sam, you're rubbing it in. Freeze Dry Guy, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Take care and have a great show.
There he goes. GetPreparedExpo.com, the website, GetPreparedExpo.com. If you go online, can you still register for the $18? You're doing that for how long?
Absolutely. Well, it makes sense to do it up until tomorrow, because it's $18 for 2 days, 3 days. It's 3 days, $18 3 days, $10 a day at the door, $8 discounted per day online, usaprepares.com, usaprepares.com. And can we, Freeze Dry Guy sent his senior vice president over. Freeze Dry Guy, Senior Vice President, could you just stop over here for just a second? Can you pull up to this mic?
VP?
Yeah.
It's time to MC.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can
Yes,
you?
sir.
Are we ever
Stay
going to
about
learn?
8 inches from your mic, by the
Are
way.
we ever going to learn Freeze Dry Guy's name?
I'll disclose that for the right amount of money, anytime, anywhere.
So you are here representing freezedryguy.com. I saw over at your booth a huge amount of food, pallets and pallets of food stacked, and we're going to have a Freeze Dry Guy banquet dinner tonight, a survival banquet dinner. We're going to do a taste test. I think it's going to be fabulous because we're going to get a chance to meet all of our instructors, and right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us around the table. Craig Douglas, Senior Vice President, is with us of freezedryguy.com. Sam Bushman, Kurt Crosby, I'm here, and there are others here that are arriving every minute.
And here's what's happening. I saw Vince. He's broadcasting live, just kicking back, hanging out. His wife is over there working super hard. I don't know what's up with this picture. I'm just saying.
Well, Mrs. Finelli is a math major, and she is very precise.
And she knows that when it comes to productivity, she's got to get it done. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, she used to design computer systems for the DuPont Corporation, Lockheed's Missiles in Space, and so she's very precise. So she is the person to manage this part of the expo. Seriously. So, what's it going to be like when we do the survival banquet meal? Have you disclosed what we're going to be having tonight?
It's we've got quite an inventory. A couple things that last show we one thing that kind of caught me off guard is we actually had some celiacs as well. So we did bring out some gluten-free product also.
Now that's something that I'm highly interested in as well. I don't personally need it, but I have an interest in it family-wise, so I want to learn about that.
Absolutely. But we'll have a nice variety. The thing that really, and I can speak to the last banquet we did, we had about 25% more people attend than what we had projected. The beauty was we just had to boil the water and get the cans open and let it sit for about 5-10 minutes. So.
One of the things that we were talking about on this broadcast, not today, but previously, that you were able to, on a half hour's notice, feed about 280 people. And when you were all done, there was less than one plate full of food left over.
Yeah.
I mean, you were able to determine exactly how much to feed all of us. Now, I don't think a restaurant could do that.
No, that's a great benchmark you bring up there, Vincent. The spoilage in what would have been in a traditional catering event, the spoilage would have been massive, or we would have been grossly underestimated the food. So, and so it was very nice to literally pile it up on my father's plate, and he took the last of it. So it was good.
Well, he's a really good guy, and he's been with us since the very beginning of the Get Prepared Expos. It's wonderful to have you here.
And you probably had to beg him to polish off the rest of that, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to have, he told me that we're going to have a chicken entree, a beef entree, vegetable, pineapple, and astronaut ice cream. Freeze Dry Guy astronaut ice cream. Does that sound about right?
Sounds good. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. And you've got two lovely ladies helping you, and they're going to be serving and cooking tonight. Cooking tonight is boiling water.
It's more of we refer to it as a college dorm cooking.
Okay.
Right. Boil water. Let it set 10 minutes.
Well, that's great. We're so glad you're here. I know you've got some things to do. Craig Douglas is with us. Craig, you're going to talk about radiation. Hey, thanks so much, Freeze Dry Guy, Senior Vice President, and I guess someday we'll learn your name?
You can call me Ronnie.
Call you Ronnie.
Yes, sir.
Call you Ronnie. Okay, so we've got part of the equation down. Ronnie's with us. Thanks so much, Ronnie. And here we go, into a break. Sam, what do you...
Yes, sir. You want me to put my memory in high power? Is that what you're saying?
I want you to put your memory in high power. Done. Okay. Craig Douglas is with us. Craig, you've been to all of our Get Prepared Expos. It's great to have you with us. It really is. And you have some radiation detection equipment that you're going to teach us about. You've got some trading medallions that you've minted. And where would you like to start?
I just want to start out with a crazy question. Do you mind?
Okay.
I want to know, you had that, what's that thing called? Not Hiroshima. What's the thing called with the big old
Fukushima.
fiasco in Japan? Yeah.
Fukushima.
All right. When that happened, then do you just test this every day, and are we just flooded with radiation because of that event?
Well, I didn't
We
bother testing anything because I knew the radiation couldn't get here from Japan, essentially.
Okay, it can't.
Basically, it's not possible. If you follow the laws of physics, how radiation travels, it's not even really possible. Certainly not in anything that we can measure.
And the reason that I bring that up is because there's a lot of people saying, hey, man, we're inundated with it. It's a problem. It's everywhere. I've watched my levels go up. They say make all these claims. You're saying none of that's true.
Pretty much, yeah. I actually do testing. In fact, I've got a tester right here at the table that I've actually been doing readings from here.
And am I going to be dead pretty soon?
And I test background radiation levels all over the country, everywhere I go. And
Yes.
I don't find any elevated background radiation levels anywhere in the country so far.
Really? Well, that's comforting at least.
Now, Craig, I have one of your dosimeters, and we talked about this on the air, and mine at my studio measured an increase in milliröntgens. So what's up with that?
Well, as I talked to you before about it,
Yeah.
there's either two possibilities. Generally, there's one of two things that could have happened. One of the things is, first of all, you wouldn't expect to see that move on a daily basis at all,
Right.
basically, unless there's a problem. And it's not meant for long-term testing anyway. A dosimeter is generally meant to be reset every day and used like on an 8-hour shift, for instance. However,
And hold on, just for ignorant folks like me, you called it a dosimeter?
yeah, a dosimeter is a device. It looks kind of like a pen, like a little tube-shaped thing, and you
Okay.
actually hold it up to the light and look through it.
Okay.
And it measures the levels of gamma radiation you have received over time. The needle you would see in the display moves up, but it does not move back down. So it tells an accumulated dose over time.
And that's why you're saying you reset it every day.
Right.
And that way you get a good clean start, number one. Number two, as it builds, you really get a reality check.
Yeah, it
An overtime scenario.
It tests what you have been exposed to over time. Typically, somebody like a medical technician around X-ray machines would typically wear these things on their shift, and at the end of each shift, they would go back and look at it to see if there's exposed to anything. If there was any kind of exposure, they would have to go back and do an investigation.
And do you have these things available for folks to get?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have thousands of them. And the one that Vincent had that jumped one day, basically they're sensitive to static electricity, high voltage, extremely high voltage, such as static. And so if it got exposed to a little bit of static electricity, even from a local lightning storm could actually make the things jump. And so that's
Which
one
would be a
possibility.
false reading, and you just reset it and say, is this reality?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
The
And it's not when you listen to AC/DC that it goes up. It
No.
isn't that. All right.
No, that's not your nuclear radiation. That's a
I'm
different
just
kind of
kidding.
radiation.
I'm just kidding.
And then the other possibility, which I have seen happen before with other people that I've talked to that have other devices that detect things and start alarming, very likely something was transported in the middle of the night. Then they don't tell you about it. I've had truckers tell me about things they transport, things that may be of high radiation that they just want to get kind of quietly from one place to another. So they might transport it by truck, by train, or by airplane. And you might see a spike like that. Now, at the levels that I believe you told me, I wouldn't be worried about that. It's certainly not a dose that's going to harm you. Anything you see on that scale, in fact, isn't going to be a dose that would harm you.
But, you know, it's unsettling. It really is unsettling to see that needle go up. And as you've mentioned, this is not a speedometer. It's like an odometer.
Right.
It measures, accumulated miles, if you will, or accumulated radiation.
Yeah, most of the devices measure in Roentgens per hour. The devices that have the handle and then they're yellow and they call them the CDV 715s. You have some of those. Those measure in Roentgens per hour, like miles per hour in your car, whereas the dosimeters measure in Roentgens or like miles. So the good analogy is, yes, speedometer versus odometer.
Gentlemen, we have we're going to take a quick call from Joel Johnson. Joel Johnson, are you traveling on your way to the Get Prepared Expo?
Yeah, tell Craig I'm just glowing in the dark driving down I-44 here trying to good to hear your voice, Craig. Can't wait to see you there. And as far as Richard Allen Miller is concerned, what I needed was more information on traffic control, not mind control. But other than that, I'm just fine. Heading your way, Vinny. Can't wait for the Get Prepared Expo. This is going to be more fun than a barrel of monkeys. I'm bringing some new tricks into MacGyver 101 and some new products that the people haven't seen before. Really excited.
Joel, hold that thought, and we'll have you on for another minute or so on the other side of the break. We'll be right back. Hold on. I just saw Tony Pache walking by. Tony Pache just walked by. With us is Kurt Crosby, Sam Bushman, Craig Douglas, and Joel Johnson, the real MacGyver. Hey, Joel, what are we going to learn really quickly from your seminar?
Well, in the past, we've only had time to do MacGyver seminar, MacGyver 101 seminar, which basically was a sit and listen and get some groundwork as far as concepts. We're going to turn this into a work and play shop where it will be actually a whole lot more participatory with the people there, focusing on a couple of three of the different skill sets necessary to think outside of the box and take stuff you find and use it to meet an adaptive need, or to find what I really love to do, which is take something that an inventor has come up with and figure out really cool stuff to do with it that the inventor never had envisioned for their own product. And that's what we call invisible inventions. So it's going to be a whole lot more play going on in the workshop. We're actually going to do MacGyver 101 on Saturday, and then MacGyver 102 on Sunday. Okay, so we hope people will attend both. They'll both be kind of self-contained, but very different and a lot of fun. And then I've got a couple of new products that are just absolutely fantastic, really neat, that the people at the show have not seen before in all likelihood.
Okay, and so we don't have to worry about the fire marshal shutting us down from your pyrotechnics?
No, every time the fire marshal comes by and asks me what I'm burning, I tell him water, and he says, no problem, burn all the water you want, and then when he turns his back, I burn water, and so, because I really can, but they just don't think I can until I do it. So I've never had a problem with the fire marshal, and we've got a really strong fire extinguisher in case I accidentally, set fire to myself or something like that. But I
Joel Johnson,
food systems, so I'm not doing that at all, so.
Drive carefully. We're looking forward to seeing you. What's your ETA?
Between 2 and 3 o'clock, Benny. But the traffic is so goofy here on I-44. I'm just doing the best I can right now.
Doesn't Patriot MacGyver have an answer for traffic? Come on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to turn my car into an airplane. All right, but it takes a little bit more time. I have to borrow doors off another car, and they frown on that. So, but I'll get there. No problem. I'm making it.
Joel Johnson, hey, thanks so much. We'll see you when you get here. Drive safely, please.
All right, brother. See you soon. Bye-bye.
There he goes. Roll into the seminar like you should be doing, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, Craig Douglas is with us. Craig, you are always a lot of fun. Now, I thought we had 9 broadcasters. Then I thought we had 10 broadcasters. We underpromise, overdeliver. We actually have 11 broadcasters. One of the broadcasters, television and radio. Craig Douglas is with us. Craig, you seem to attract a lot of attention. Tell us about your journey.
Yeah, not always good attention. Yeah.
So what happened? You were on your way to the Get Prepared Expo.
Well, he was rolling down the road in his V8 Ford, right?
Indiana? Yeah. Well, I was coming from a show in Ohio, and I had to pass through Indiana to take care of some legal business, as I quite often do.
When you say legal business, you're talking about previous stops?
Well, yeah, I had that. That was the next day, actually. I had, I was taking care of some legal business in Northwest Indiana for a foreclosure process that I'm fighting actually right now. But anyway, this didn't have anything to do with that. I was traveling in Lake County, Indiana, which is right up at the corner of Lake Michigan there. And I saw one of those unmarked cars, the ones that pretend they're not cops, but they really are.
Yeah.
And I saw one of those, and I turned onto the highway, and he turned a little bit past onto the highway as well. And he was way back there, and he caught up to me, and he basically stayed behind me for a while. And then nothing happened, and he went by me, and then all of a sudden he hit the brakes and went behind me again and turned on his little lights. And for some reason, he changed his mind about stopping me. There was no probable cause whatsoever because I knew he was there the whole time, so I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
And basically, one thing we failed to mention: I don't have a driver's license. So because I've followed the law, because I know the Supreme Court has ruled over and over again in my favor that I do not need a driver's license to travel, and that's all I was doing. I was traveling. There's a difference between the word travel and driving. And well, anyway, this sometimes I call them Federal Reserve revenue agents. This Federal Reserve revenue agent basically asking for my papers, like we were in Nazi Germany or something, and I didn't have the papers that he wanted. In fact, I even had the wrong plate on this car that I was in. It was kind of interesting. So nothing about it was, quote, legal, end of quote, in his mind. And we play the usual Abbott and Costello routine where, you have a driver's license? No, I'm not driving. Well, it looks like you're driving. No, back and forth about,
So you're not driving, you're traveling. He says you're driving. You say you're traveling.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, just like the old Abbott and Costello, who's on first thing.
Right.
And basically, only after about 3 minutes, I convinced him, because I had some law books on the floor of my car that I pulled one up and showed him about the right to travel. And I had some other law books. And in fact, I was on my way to court in Belleville, Illinois, for the very same type of issue because I fight them in court all the time on this. If they stop me and then they kidnap me or steal my house because I live in my car, basically. If they do all that, then they're facing a federal lawsuit, but I fight it all the way. I don't ever give up because I'm not giving up my right to travel. And basically, after about 3 minutes, his final words was he just tapped his hand on the open doorway there and said, well, have a safe trip. I actually mentioned the word sovereign once to him, and maybe that's what did it. I don't know. There was basically a conversation where he didn't even go back to his car to run my name in the computer. So that was the first time that's ever happened. Now, I've been stopped in Indiana before. I put about 70,000 miles a year doing these expos everywhere I go and all over the country. And it was actually, I get stopped on occasion. It's been about a year since I've been stopped, or close to a year. But I still fight them in court. I have another case I'm going to next week in Louisville, Kentucky.
And I want to mention something that I think your name is preceding you a little bit, and what you're doing is preceding you. The Get Prepared Expo is training Americans to know where they stand and to make a difference. And I think what they don't want, Craig, is they don't want guys like you to basically prove that you're right in court, where you get case precedent in your favor, where they basically have to eat crow, where they have to deal with you. And they're starting to say, I'm not sure if it's out of respect because they're learning, or if it's just out of they don't know how to cope with you, so they don't want to be the guy to have to take the fall over it when they lose, kind of stuff. But isn't that what it's kind of coming down to as we train across the country and educate and truly stand up for ourselves and the law's on our side? And isn't that kind of what's starting to happen?
Well, I see it all the time, yes. And they try to actually, a lot of times I'm the last case to be called because they want everybody else out of the courtroom when I step up there. And in fact, the one I'm going to in Louisville next week, I've actually showed up so far 11 times for that case. Now, the 11th time, the cop didn't even show up, finally. So, and now this 12th time I'm going there, it should be a slam dunk. It should be all over with, but they'll do what they want to do because that's the way the courts are. You're playing in their ballpark. It's not, the rules aren't fair, and they don't ever follow the same rules.
Are they hoping that you just say, look, 11 times
you give up?
And you give up. Just,
they're hoping he won't show.
Plea bargain. Yep, hoping I don't show so they can put a warrant out for
and
my
they're
arrest.
really hoping that he can just pay a fine so they can take his money, and they really want him just to go away.
I'm causing them too much trouble by showing up too many times and actually in the end suing them in federal court, which could cost them a whole lot more money than they bargained for.
Well, why don't we talk about this case, after you're done with it, or if you want before, why don't we talk about the case on another broadcast and make sure that everybody involved gets all the attention, all the fame that they deserve? What do you think about that?
Sure, that's no problem. I have lots of them to talk about. And I can tell you also briefly.
Let's name the names. Put them on the website.
Yeah, I could tell you briefly some of the states so far that I've seen. I have been stopped in many states, and Georgia, Maryland, Kansas, Indiana, Michigan. These are some of the states that have just basically let me go.
Interesting, because those are east of the Mississippi, and usually those are more hardcore states.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been. I do a lot of traveling west of the Mississippi too, but I have not been stopped west of the Mississippi so far.
So that's a blessing.
Sam,
not getting stopped first is the key to the game, right?
Yeah, you really want to stay out of their courts completely. You don't want to even really get involved with it, because I don't try to cause trouble, but somehow trouble finds me.
Isn't that interesting, Sam? That is a story of who we are. Trouble finds us. I've been accused of going out picking on the system. No, the system is picking on us, and we just expose it, and we talk about it. So we're not looking for problems. The problems find us. So, Craig Douglas, you are just a great example of who we are. You don't back down.
Or who we should be.
Well, I'm talking about who we are at USA Prepares. Who we are.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm talking about mainly the American people.
Oh they're different from us. But I'm talking about who we are right here at the Get Prepared Expo. We are like you. We just don't back down. And now you have been removed from the air how many times?
TV 6 times, radio twice.
That's 8.
Do you like TV or radio better? What's fun?
In fact,
Hold on, Sam. I have 5. I'm sorry. I've only been removed 5 times, so I've got to catch up. I'm 3 behind you.
I've been doing 10 years. I don't know about how long you've been doing.
Okay,
10 years.
This is just in 1 year.
Oh, well, then you've got my record beat then.
Just an acceleration.
The last 2 times I got removed from TV, by the way, was because of the driver's license issue. I actually beat them in court.
Wait a minute.
And I was broadcasting.
TV if you don't have a driver's license?
And I was broadcasting from the basement of City Hall of this particular city. And I actually, after the case was all over with, they didn't really know who I was. I went and told everybody on the air exactly from start to finish what I did and how I did it. And they had a fit with that. Their lawyers pulled me off the air immediately. And I lost 2 channels because of that.
Wait a minute. They didn't want you telling your story, or you got to have a driver's license to be on TV?
Well, no, actually both. Actually, that's the way they got me off of in one place in Ann Arbor after I beat them in court. Ann Arbor, Michigan, is where they got me off because I didn't have a driver's license. The reason being, they needed to see every year annually. Public access, you're using their equipment, so they needed to see a proof of residency. Mm-hmm. And each year, I would give them a signed lease. Mm-hmm. As proof of residency. Well, after I beat them in court in Wayne County, which is the biggest county, actually the most populous county in Michigan, over the driver's license issue, and they kicked me off the air immediately there. Then, within about 6 months, the next time the residency requirement came up, they came up with this new rule that now you had to have a driver's license or a state-issued ID in order to stay on the air in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
And I think
people say we don't have national IDs, huh?
Yeah, and I was the only one that affected, of course.
Well, of course, and obviously that's Craig's rule, right? I mean, they did that just for you.
Yeah, well, I can't prove that, but yes, it sure seems that way.
Doesn't make you feel good.
But it shows the power structure from county to county. I beat them in court in one county, and then all of a sudden, I'm being repercussions in another county in the same state of Michigan.
Craig, do you know what we're doing here tonight? Have you heard about Chief Cloudpiler, what we're going to do?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, this is right up his alley.
Amen. I love it.
Chief Cloudpiler of the Menha Congregation of Tribes is going to be with us. And we're going to ask the instructors and the exhibitors and the guests if they would like us to consecrate the Get Prepared Expo as sacred ground. If so, we will, and we're going to put up a sign. We're going to have it ready to go. And the sign will say, if you are a government employee, you are going to have to apply to be on this property. And we're going to ask name, address, social security number, picture ID, purpose, and intent. What do you think? Oh, they have to pay a fee. $10 fee. What do you think? Is that up your alley? He's dry guy. It's kind of down about not being here. This is like a 25th class reunion. You know that, Sam?
Yeah, with all the best girls, with all the best friends, with all the good people, with all the right things, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, you know, I get to see Craig Douglas. I get to see and you for the first time at the Get Prepared Expo, and it's going to be and you and Kurt, and it's going to be over and over again. I'm sure. And Sheriff Richard Mack, Larry Pratt. Well, he's going to be doing a teleseminar, but you know, Tony Pache just walked by. Ken Hurley's here. Ronnie's here. Joel Wallach. I saw Judy Dollarheight walk by. Ricky Rocket. He's here. And Joyce Riley's going to be here. Al Meter's going to be here. Glenn Meter, you know, Survival still. Lucinda Bailey just walked by. Texas Ready. So Patrick Vickers is here. Dr. Howard Shayne. Carl Rickard, Chief Cloudpiler. Man, the list goes on and on. Len Pence.
By the way, I'm looking forward to meeting Chief Cloudpiler as well.
I would like you to join us and become a Native American medicine man. And also, Craig Douglas, I think you should consider being one too. Because you could be practicing your religion and advise the authorities when they stop you the next time, which is probably going to be in 20 minutes, right?
and get persecuted even more?
Well, no. Just tell them that you are practicing your religion. Are they sure that they want to interfere with your sacred religious
Well, that's right. Being an American Indian won't get me in any more trouble with the U.S. government, right?
Well, you know, they respect the Native Americans. They always have. They've done a great job. They've poisoned them. They've given them diseases. They've stolen their land.
Peddled alcohol to them.
Yeah, right. Outrageous, right? outrageous. So, Craig Douglas, tell us very quickly, we've got just a couple of minutes. You have medallions here, absolutely magnificent 1-ounce copper rounds.
Hermetically sealed, right?
They're in capsules. Tell us about what they are, please. And they're available for sale here at the Expo?
Yeah, I think it's the first time I've had it here at this Expo. They've been out for a few months now. My own 2 designs, one, and both in response for things that happened early in the year. Basically, the one you're holding right now is the $1 trillion coin. Remember the fiscal cliff debate we had?
Yep.
And you'll see on the back, it actually says on the scroll, it says, "Dear Federal Reserve, you're fired. Signed, United States Congress." And it's "In debt we trust" on the front. And anyway, it's a marvelous coin. And then the other one you're holding now is I call that the militia coin. That side you're looking at right now with the Minuteman, the beautiful design on the front saying they're coming for the arms. That's what happened the first time they came for the guns.
Right.
And then the back side, it's the modern day side. It says "From my cold dead hands." It's got an AR-15 on the back, or AK, or I'm sorry, the M16 or AR-15, depending which one you want to call it.
Right.
And that's the modern day side.
Yes, it's a modern musket.
Yep. The assault weapon of the day, of course, is the musket.
Yes. May I buy these 2?
You can buy as many as you want.
Okay. I certainly need these 2 for the studio, because I have mementos all over the studio of our friends. And Craig Douglas, you are a very dear friend of USA Prepares and the Get Prepared Expo. So I would be honored to place these on the studio desk to remind me of you every single broadcast, and I'm very serious.
Okay.
Very serious. We have Sam Bushman. We have some extraordinary individuals here at the Get Prepared Expo. I believe our faculty is unparalleled anywhere in the preparedness industry. What do you think?
I agree. The beekeeping seminar, Beekeeping 101, I'm calling it honey making. That seminar is amazing. There's so many practical answers of solutions and of opportunities to learn and become educated. Can people get like a certificate if they take a number of courses to say, hey, I've attended the Preparedness Expo, and it's almost like people need an education certificate that they can just whip out for bureaucrats whenever.
Well, we were talking about that during the first part of today's broadcast. And I talked to the university that wanted to come to the expo, and I said, how much is your degree in emergency management? I think it's like $4,000. I said, shoot, for about $60, actually less than $60, you can get the same education right here, and we're going to give out a certificate for it.
$34 a head if you buy it online, get you the whole seminar all 3 days and 2 dinners.
Yeah. Sam Bushman, Vincent Finelli, Craig Douglas, thanks so much for being with us. We'd love to see you at the Get Prepared Expo. GetPreparedExpo.com. You still have time to get here, and it's the largest in the United States of America. Class, thank you so much for being with us. Above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you. And thanks so much, Alex, for being with us today.